Braille is important to me because it keeps me connected with the world.
I rely on Braille for my schoolwork. I rely on Braille to do homework. I rely on Braille for fun.
By age 16, Louis Braille had designed a new code that could be read by touch. This arrangement of raised dots opened a door to literacy and culture for all the blind people around the world. While Louis attended the Royal Institution for the Young Blind in Paris, he was exposed to both Francine Way and Charles Barbier's system of reading. In 1771, Way attended a local fair in one of Paris's suburbs. He witnessed general merriment and bantering acts, which were performed by sightless beggars. In return, the sighted audience would yell crude names and throw anything they could find at the blind beggars. Way stated, "I shall substitute the truth for mockery, and I shall teach the blind to read and write, and give them books printed by themselves." In 1808, Way founded the very first school for the blind in Paris, France. The creation of the school resulted in the social and rehabilitation of the blind throughout the civilized world.
Howe also developed the first system of writing for the blind. To produce relief print, he used an iron stylus to inscribe letters in mirror-inverted form onto thick paper. In this way, sighted and blind people were able to read and write these characters.
In 1819, Charles Barbier visited the Royal Institution for the Young Blind, where Louis Braille attended. Barbier's code consisted of 12 raised dots. Now Barbier's code night writing was not based on the alphabet, but sounds. This system was used for soldiers at war so they can communicate with each other so the enemy would not hear them.
He had developed a system of coordinates made up of 6 lines and 2 columns. Each of the 36 sounds in the French language was represented by a group of 2 to 12 dots. The dots were elevated.
This system did not consist of grammar, spelling, music, or numbers. Because of so many flaws in the system, it never really helped the blind to be literate.
Louis then remembered a dice game his father had made especially for him some years earlier. The surface of the dice was flat. The dots, a maximum of 6, were elevated. Louis was able to encompass the small number of dots with his fingertip all at once. Bearing this in mind, he began studying Barbier's system in greater detail.
The arrangement of dots, which Braille reduced in half, allowed 6 dots to fit under one fingertip. There are 64 combinations of dots, enough for the alphabet, and several special national characters. On March 1, 1833, Barbier wrote a letter to Braille that stated, "I cannot praise too highly the kind of feelings which prompt you to be useful to those who share your misfortune. Much can be expected of the enlightenment sentiments which guide to you." Soon, the news spread throughout the world. Blind people could now have access to books. However, Braille books are significantly larger than books in regular print. Helen Keller stated, "We the blind are as in debt to Louis Braille as mankind is to Gutenberg." In 1878, Braille was declared the official reading system for the blind. The invention of Braille has made an impact to the blind's lives. Since the invention of Braille, technology has been developed to improve it. An example of this would be the Perkins Brailler, which was invented by David Abraham. Here we show an example of the Perkins Brailler.
Today, Braille is even more powerful. Digital technology gives blind people faster access to more information and levels the playing field at school, the office, or home.
It's similar to a laptop. There are ones made with a Braille keyboard. It has a refreshable Braille display on the bottom. So anything that I type or anything that I'm reading, a book that I'm reading, let's say, will come up on the bottom Braille display.
Students use audio to read along with Braille books.
Brendan is in the 7th grade.
What have we learned from Iraq?
Using his device, he can read along or take notes.
The surge of words, so maybe that could be a lesson, like use the surge.
Just like the others working on the group presentation.
And for musicians, score sheets are converted into Braille. Braille has influenced the creation of softwares that reads menu items and voice command technology. Another intelligent invention for the blind is the Heptica Braille watch, which is a watch that has Braille so the blind can tell time without assistance. Advancements in technology are being created for the blind in hopes of ending blindness. Another invention is the bionic eye.
We used the kind of fabrication procedures that are used to make computer chips to create ultra-thin and flexible electrode arrays so that we can contact the retina and not damage it.
We'll have a little pair of glasses built in the edge of a camera, and the little camera will see the world, and it will drive the coil buried around here.
The hard part is turning the camera signal into the appropriate type of pulse that the brain will understand, which it turns back into a visual process.
Another bionic eye, which is a miniature camera that is mounted on a pair of glasses and transmits images to a video processor. The images are projected into the patterns of light and dark. The images are then displayed into the retina.
Well, right now I can detect like the trees on the side here, and it's only black and white, it's not color, so I don't see any colors at all, just black and white, and it usually helps most with good contrast.
The artificial retina is actually a sheet of electrodes implanted into Barbara's eye. A tiny camera inside of her glasses captures what appears before her and translates that captured image into pixels. The box at her hip sends those pixels back to the electrodes, and eventually the image ends up as flashes of light in her brain.
Over the past 198 years, Braille has been published in over 100 languages, and even though significant advancements have been made for the blind, Braille will never become obsolete because it is a universal language.